All right, time again. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We're back with more World Cup qualifiers as we begin that road towards Brazil World Cup 2027. England were victorious 6-1 over Ukraine on Tuesday night, where despite a stodgy first half, they really kicked on in the second and found their groove. We're now looking at a game today against Iceland, who will be undoubtedly a tougher opponent, but England with a stronger side out on the field to start shouldn't really have any issues today. Going to be an interesting one. England nationals on an early Saturday morning. It feels a little bit weird, but it feels like an opportunity for England to again put up a good goal difference. We spoke a lot on Tuesday about how important goal difference could be, considering the makeup of this group, considering Spain in this group. It could come down to goal difference. England scored a lot of goals against Ukraine, winning that game 6-1. Spain only beat Iceland 3-0. If England can put up another strong goal-scoring showing and win this game by a comfortable margin, that gives them a great chance of qualifying. But the most important thing is that they do win. When we think back to the Nations League when they had Spain, Portugal and Belgium in their group, what actually let them down was not the Spain games. They beat Spain at Wembley, lost them away from home, but overall that balances out. But they dropped points against Portugal, I believe, and against Belgium. It was a messy Nations League phase, and they can't allow that to be the denominator again. They've got to put themselves in a position where if they can match or better Spain, then they're going to qualify for the Women's World Cup. Either way, they shouldn't have too much of an issue. Obviously, an incredibly strong team, this England side, but they'll want to qualify through this group stage as quickly as possible, and then they can start making those preparations with international friendlies coming up as soon as we get into next season, and obviously at the turn of the year. Hermie's saying, welcome to the stream, by the way. Says England will dominate possession and use their strong forwards to break Iceland's deep defence. While Iceland rely on counters, England can break the block earlier than they did against Ukraine. Well, I don't think it's going to be quite as deep as Ukraine. We think about how Ukraine played. It was very much a 5-4-1, and it was very narrow, very compact. Now, Iceland will look to be quite narrow as well, but I think it'll be more of a 4-5-1. The other thing to bear in mind with Iceland is that they are definitely stronger in attack. That front three of Jason Jónsdóttir and then, who's on the right wing? Eriksdóttir, of course. That front three is incredibly dangerous, especially when we're considering those counter opportunities. There was one or two times where Ukraine almost broke out. Ultimately, didn't come to anything. Ultimately, they didn't really get a shot away. But when we think about Iceland today, if they can get Jónsdóttir and Eriksdóttir and Jason in behind quickly, I think they can threaten England in those transitional moments. So the Lionesses have got to be aware of that. But I think the natural trade-off is that they may find it easier to play through Iceland if they're trying to be a little bit more aggressive. So, yeah, we'll see how the game goes. I think it'll be more open than the first half against Ukraine. I think it will be more difficult than the second half against Ukraine, though. So, again, those trade-offs come into play. It's a tougher opponent, but I do think England tend to thrive against tougher opponents. I think the problem with playing those against teams who like to play these really narrow, low blocks, very deep in the pitch, is that England don't really have then the space to work into. And ultimately, obviously, the first half was really difficult to watch on Tuesday. The second half was much more enjoyable because England started to move the ball a lot quicker. They made some changes as well that I think were very positive. They got players on there who could create opportunities. And yeah, I really like the lineup today. I think it's almost England's full strength lineup in terms of liking the team. I don't like the fact that we're using a full strength team today. I'm not sure it's necessary. But I think in terms of what we're looking at now as the England side that's probably going to play most of the games at World Cup 27, I think you can see the core emerging here. And actually, I think there's only one, maybe two players who I would say would swap out in there. So, yeah, we're starting to see now that England team, a bit of an evolution on what was so successful at Euro 25. And Nigel saying currently 7-0 between India and Japan. Yeah, I was tossing up between streaming that game or this game. Ultimately decided England would be the way to go. But yeah, Japan dominating in that one. A bit of a surprise. I thought India gave a really good account of themselves in the game against Vietnam, but that not coming to fruition today. And Phil, welcome to the stream this afternoon. Big fan of, I like this Iceland team, big fan of Williamsdóttir. Yeah, Carolina Williamsdóttir, fantastic footballer. And yeah, definitely going to be a big threat to England today. Well, speaking of the players then, let's dive into the lineups ahead of this one. We're at the City Ground in Nottingham for today's game. So we'll begin with the hosts, England. A 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 for the Lionesses today. In goal, it's Hannah Hampton. A back four then of bronze coming back into the side Williamson starting consecutive games, as does Taylor Hines, and Esme Morgan in at centre-half as well. In the midfield then, a pivot of Walsh and Stanway, with Park shifting from the right-hand side into the 10 role today. On one wing, it's Lauren James. On the other, Lauren Hemp. Alessio Russo leads the line. So as I was saying, this feels to me England's strongest 11. I think if we were looking at World Cup 27, we'd probably say Greenwood comes in over Taylor Hines and fulfills that function, the side where they look to become a back three in possession. Outside of that, I think there's an argument for Toon over Park, though personally I think you start Jess Park. I think in terms of being able to, having that creativity, she's really strong. What Toon does give you really well, though, is that combination and that understanding with Alessia Russo, where if Russo's going to drop to receive the ball, Toon knows then to make that run in behind. We've seen that relationship between Toon and Turland. Obviously, we saw it before with Toon and Russo. So that's something you may lack without Toon in the side. So I wouldn't be surprised if Toon did come back in over Park when we get round to World Cup 27. But apart from that, I think this is probably the full-strength England side. And yeah, I think it's an incredibly good team. I think there's a really nice balance to that midfield. I think when you've got... What I did like about the game on Tuesday is that with Blinkwood Brown in there, it allowed Stanway to be a little bit higher, and I did think the balance was slightly nicer, but we know Stanway can do that deeper role. I think obviously with James coming in from the right, combining with Park in those half spaces, with Bronze providing that width on the right-hand side, I think this team is really strong, and I think we'll be, again, looking at the next major tournament in World Cup 2027 in Brazil, I think as strong favourites, or at least in that conversation. We know there's a lot of competition there, but this is a very strong England side. As for the visitors then, Iceland, they were a side that went into Euro 2025 a year ago now, but they went into that competition with a lot of belief, and actually I think a lot of people had them down as dark horses, but they didn't perform as well as they should have in that tournament. But I don't think that is a stain on the strength really in this team. It's a really strong Iceland side. A 4-3-3 for Iceland today. In goal, it's Runarsdottir. A back four then, Ivana-dottir, Vigosdottir, Sigurdardottir and Heidarsdottir. In the midfield three, Hermansdottir and Antonsdottir, the two more defensive players, with Carolina Leah Williamsdottir in the side as well, the more attacking midfielder there, the creative player in this Iceland side. On one wing, it's Hlyn Eriksdottir. On the other, Svindis Jonsdottir. And leading the line, it's the only non-Dottir, it's Sandra Jason. Yeah, there's a lot to like about this Iceland team. Again, I think the midfield composition is really strong. I think you've got Williamsdottir, who's a fantastic creator, really good carrier as well. And in terms of that final ball, we're expecting a lot of the creativity to come through her today. I think in wide areas, you've got some really pacey, very dynamic wide attackers, especially Svindis Jonsdottir, I think a player who, when we look at the potential weaknesses of this England side, I think back to World Cup final in 2023 and I look at how we conceded in that game, and it was Bronze getting caught high in the space left in behind. If Iceland today can manipulate that same opportunity where Bronze pushes high up the pitch, which she's expected to do in possession, and they can keep Jonsdottir high on the left-hand side, I think there's space there for them to exploit, and Bronze isn't going to be able to catch back up as quick as she is with Svindis Jonsdottir. Jonsdottir is an incredibly fast player. So that could be somewhere where they look to get those marginal gains. Outside of that, defence is strong, obviously marshalled in there by Vigosdottir. And yeah, they weren't great at Euro 2025, but I still think this is a really strong team. I think it will be a much more difficult game than we saw the Ukraine game was on Tuesday. But equally, Spain did make rather light work of them in their matchup, 3-0 for Spain. But we know the quality in that Spain side. So I don't think that is too much of a slight on Iceland. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think ultimately England should be the favourites, but I do think it'll be a lot closer than the game on Tuesday. I do think Iceland will be keen to get some points on the board. They won't want to come out of this game having played 2 matches in the qualifiers in a position where they've lost them both and suddenly they're under a lot of pressure. They won't want to be in that position. Now, ultimately, there's not too much pressure on these qualifiers because I believe every team in this League A does seed into the knockout qualifying round. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but obviously placing higher, and if you can get into the top, I believe it's the top 2 automatically qualify. If you can get into that kind of position, then obviously that's a much nicer place to be in. Mark's a strong light for England. Respect for Iceland picking that team. I think, yeah, I think it's a good Iceland team. And Hermie saying Iceland's, and yeah, that's exactly why England are doing it, showing that respect. And Hermie says Iceland's dangerous attack line could punish them on the counter and grab a goal. Absolutely. I think that's going to be where the weakness is today for England. If Iceland are going to look to hurt England in any way, it's going to be by forcing those transitional moments, looking to stretch the play, because they do have quite a fast attacking line, quite a quick attacking line. And yeah, if they can get in behind England, where, you know, I think the one big weakness for this England defence is pace. Like, you don't really have a fantastic recoverer. What makes Williamson work, or what allows her to be quite an aggressive defender, is Emily Fox. And she's one of the best recoverers, if not the best recoverer of any fullback. Because her ability to just burst in behind, read the game and burst in behind and make those recovery challenges is so strong. Now, Bronze likes to attack quite high, and that often leaves that space. So that would be my concern today. If Iceland can move the ball quickly through the lines, if they can hit it in behind, if they can use that fast front three they've got, that's where I think England can be hurt. But I don't think England should have any issues today. I think England are a much stronger side. And yeah, I mean, full respect to Iceland, but England will want to come through this game, 6 points on the board, a healthy goal difference, and take the fight to Spain when they meet up in April. So yeah, let's dive into predictions then, both sides onto the field, going through the national anthems at the moment. If you're watching along to the show and want to get involved with this segment, let me know your scoreline prediction in the live chat. I'll make sure to read all of those out before we get underway. I'm going to start though today. No Harry alongside me for his prediction. So I'll kick us off today. I think it is going to be fairly strong for England. I said on Tuesday night 5-0. It ended up being 6-1. I wasn't too displeased with that prediction. I think I was fairly close. I think today it's not going to be quite as comprehensive, but I do think it will be comfortable to a degree. I do think England will concede again, though. I'm going to say England 3, Iceland 1. I think the quality in this England side should prevail, but I wouldn't be surprised if we went into half-time at 1-1 or something like that, and, you know, we turn to our substitutes. We look at a Chloe Kelly just to put balls into the box. You know, we look at some of those other attacking players England have amongst substitutes today. Aggie Beaver-Jones, could get Freya Godfrey on for a debut. I think it was a massive shame she didn't get on against Ukraine, and I still don't really understand that decision from Wiegman. But yeah, there's options on the bench there. Grace Clinton, I think England will be keen to get her back in this Lionesses fold. So yeah, it'd be nice to see those substitutes. I think once those changes happen, England can take the advantage again. So I'm going to say 1-1 at half-time, going on to be England 3-1. I will say goals from Lauren James, just magnificent footballer, and can absolutely be the difference maker today. I'll say Alessia Russo. I think she looked in sharp form on Tuesday night, and I'm going to go for a goal off the bench for Grace Clinton. I think she's good at getting involved. I was tempted to go Stanway because she seems to score in every game, because England seem to always, you know, get a penalty in these kind of matches. But I'm going to say Grace Clinton from the bench, just picks up on the edge of the box or something, and low-driven effort. I could see something like that happening. Iceland's goal, it's between Jason or Jonsdottir. For me, I'm going to say Sandra Jason. I think it could be a situation where they're able to get Svindis Jonsdottir down the left-hand side. She cuts it across the box, and Jason's in that position to capitalise. So I do think Iceland will get a goal today. I think the quality in that attacking line and the slight weaknesses, I think, in that England defensive line will just give Iceland that opportunity. Mark going 4-2 England. What a game that would be. Mark Barker, thank you for getting involved in the live chat. And an update on the Asian Cup. It's now 10-0 Japan. We haven't seen a drubbing yet at this tournament in the Asian Cup. I think the biggest scoreline was 5-0. That's a proper drubbing. Absolutely dominant there are Japan. Yeah, the biggest scoreline yesterday was North Korea beating Bangladesh 5-0. Japan have doubled that today. So really impressive stuff from them, and that will see them through into the quarterfinals. Remember as well to join us next week for more Women's Asian Cup action. We're live tomorrow and we're live on Wednesday, as well as we'll be live next weekend for all of the quarterfinals. But yeah, both players taken to the field then. Engross going for England 5, Iceland 1. Would be a similarly dominant performance then to what we saw the other evening against Ukraine. I mean, that would be incredible. I just don't really see it happening. I think there is too much quality in this Iceland side for us to be so dominant. But yeah, Ryzen saying 10-0 right now. It's mad. Yeah, I know. That is kind of ridiculous, really, by Japan. But yeah, they're such a strong side. But yeah. Nice tribute here ahead of kickoff at the City Ground. Former Lioness Linda Hale passed away this week. A lovely tribute here from both sides with a moment's applause ahead of kickoff. So yeah, poll in chat as well, 96 votes, 92% going the way of the Lionesses, 4% Iceland, 4% for a draw as well. So I think we've got mostly England fans in the chat today, which is lovely to see. And hopefully we can all get behind the Lionesses as we build towards that 2027 Women's World Cup. It's going to be an incredible tournament in Brazil, a real hub and a vibrant home of football. And hopefully it'll pay host to a fantastic tournament in the women's game. Phil says 4-2 to England. Very much a lot of high scoring predictions today. Expecting a bit of an end-to-end game. I could definitely see it happening. I'm hoping England's defence is strong enough to not concede 2. And I think Iceland's is strong enough not to concede 4. I've gone for the more modest 3-1. But yeah, do keep your predictions coming in as we prepare to get underway in this game. It's going to be England who get us started here at the City Ground. It's Russo from the middle. Waiting here for the referee to signal a start to today's action. Does now blow her whistle. Russo knocks it back and we're underway in this game. It's England taking on Iceland, the second match in these Women's 2027 Women's World Cup qualifying games. England on 3 points, topping the group as it stands. They'll need a big win today though, as we'd expect Spain to reclaim some of that goal difference as they take on Ukraine, or make up some of the margin, I should say. England trying to progress it early. Good challenge in there from Sigurdardottir, who wins the ball back, and a slight pull there from Leah Williamson on Sandra Jason. Concedes a free kick to Iceland. Ryzen says not happy that James is starting. No, I was surprised. I wouldn't mind her starting today if she hadn't come on Tuesday night, because you could have easily brought Freya Godfrey on Tuesday, and I don't think it then would have been quite as big an issue. I also don't know why Godfrey wasn't given that chance. England were very dominant in that second half. Would have been a great chance to give her debut. Here's Jonsdottir coming down the left-hand side. Bronze shuffles her wide. Seen out for an Iceland throw well by Jonsdottir there. Interesting as well from England, it's Lauren Hemp starting on the right and James on the left. This is something we spoke about on Tuesday, is that without Greenwood, could they look to push Hines further forward and have Hemp hold the width on the opposite flank? It looks to be what they're doing early on here. Long throw into the area, bounces around here for Iceland. It's Russo who gets ahead on it and Park clears it away, and a foul on Alessia Russo to boot. An England free kick in their own penalty area. So yeah, expect to see Taylor Hines a bit more of an attacking role today then, with James on the left pushing inside and Park then in that sort of right 10 spot. I think that's a potentially more complementary way to use those two players. The only sort of qualm I have with that is that you're then using Lauren Hemp on her least favoured side. Walsh now with Williamson. Here's Bronze. Plays it inside to Park. And now it's Williamson. Where it doesn't make any sense, though, because that's not actually what they're doing with the fullbacks, is that they've decided to swap the wingers, but the fullbacks are not swapped in terms of who's pushing and who's dropping. So you've still got Hines playing in the back three and Bronze overlapping. So you're just not getting the best out of James or Hemp this way, I have to say. I thought if you're going to do it this way round, you allow Hines that freedom to get forwards and you tell Bronze to be a little bit deeper, but apparently not. Flicked on by Jason. Jonsdottir competing. Strong header from Lucy Bronze. Anton Dottir nodded on by Williamsdottir, but she's dropped from an offside position, and that will be a free kick to England. Or may have gone the other way. No, it's an England free kick. And then the referee has pulled it back. It's an offside. I think there's a bit of confusion here, but it's an offside, which is an Iceland free kick. Okay. A little bit of confusion there between the players. I don't think the referee communicated that decision particularly well. Ball launched forwards by Sigurdardottir. Assertive header from Williamson. Hemp now competes and gives it to Stanway, who's ran himself into a little bit of trouble there. Ball picked off in midfield by Antonsdottir. Here's Findus Jonsdottir. Dancing her way inside. Now forced backwards to Sigurdardottir. Jonsdottir goes back again all the way to Runarsdottir in the Iceland net. Then back from Sigurdardottir into Runarsdottir. I have a strong feeling that you're going to get sick of me saying Dottir in this game with this Iceland side, all but one of them with the suffix Dottir on their surname. Sigurdardottir back towards Runarsdottir. Knocks it forward now into the path of Hermannsdottir, who plays it into Viggarsdottir, coming to the right-hand side now, wide into Arnardottir. That takes a touch off Lauren James on its way through and bounces out for an Iceland throw. Ball launched down the line. Well held up by Lionesses, trying to come inside. Back now to Arnardottir. Now Antonsdottir on the ball. Goes back to Viggarsdottir. A little bit of a loose touch there. And knocks it back to Runarsdottir. Inkej says, I know someone is from Iceland by that. Yeah, if it's a Dottir or a son at the end, it does tend to be an Icelandic surname. The suffix is there for all Icelandic surnames. Pass inside now. Here is Bronze. That's picked off there as Park tries to play it back. Combination doesn't quite work out. Now it's with Antonsdottir, the defence midfielder. As Iceland move it back. It's been all Iceland really in terms of possession. As we say, a very different game to what we'd expect, or what we saw really on Tuesday night. And Henley, welcome to the stream, says 6-1 England. A very bold prediction there. Sigurdardottir sends it forwards. Jason brings it under her control well and tries to compete, but Hemp does well just to see it out. England throw in on this near side. Bronze goes down the line. Hemp tries to turn. Throwing going the other way. Hemp disagreeing with that. Does have a word with the linesman there. Lineswoman, though, in no hurry to change her decision. Heidarsdottir with the throw. Goes down the line. Bronze. Stanway tries to nod it on. Ends up nodding it out. And that's an Iceland throw again. So one-way traffic so far, and I think Thornstein Hardarson will be very pleased with how Iceland have been able to get on the ball early on here, and now whether they can go one step further and start to threaten the England goal. And of course continue to limit England coming forwards, because you do think England will get better as this game goes on. And still panning over at the Icelandic head coach. We do now get back to the action headed on in there by Sandra Jason. And that will trickle its way through to Hannah Hampton. And England now will play out from this position. Morgan. Carrying it forwards. Hines. Morgan. Williamson into Esme Morgan. Hines. Here's James. Carries it forwards. Great drive here from Lauren James. Can she look to open up the play now? A switch ball looking for Lucy Bronze. Great delivery. Can Bronze get there? Cuts it back. That's blocked well by the recovering Jonsdottir. And it has deemed to go out of play. Just slightly too much on that from Lauren James. Looked to open up the play quickly. Had to put a decent amount on it here to clear the recovering Jonsdottir. And did so, but Lucy Bronze had to be incredibly fast to get to that ball. While she is a quick player, just couldn't quite keep that one in play. Better move from England, though. Spurred on by the dynamic movement of Lauren James as she burst inside with the ball. And her switch towards Lucy Bronze. She's not quite coming off there. Runarsdottir. Knocks it inside here, and I think that was a miss-hit goal kick because Viggarsdottir was not expecting it. Russo pounces, takes aim from range. A tight angle, though, and off balance. Was always going to be difficult to put that one away. Comfortable claim for Runarsdottir, but a bit of a mistake there from Iceland. Not fully capitalised on, really, by England. Viggarsdottir made a right meal of this. I think Russo could have done more. Probably shouldn't have looked to shoot. There was supporting cast following her in there. Ball hit in behind. Jonsdottir makes the run. A header away from Hannah Hampton. The offside flag follows. And Bronze taking it quickly as England look to catch Iceland out. Here's Hemp. Shimmies back here under pressure from Sandra Jensen. And now Esme Morgan in the middle of this back three into Williamson. Yeah, I'm very fascinated by the decision to put Hemp on the right wing if we're going to overlap Bronze. I'd love to see us experiment with using a back three that builds up from right back. So obviously the right back tucks in, the left back pushes on, because you can play Greenwood at centre half, and you've got at right back Bronze who can tuck in, and we've seen Laetitia play that role. And if Hemp is comfortable on the right wing, could that be something that's explored? Ball towards the back post, header on target here, or just wide, in fact, from Lauren James. Not the most natural header of a football. Has a few headed goals for Chelsea in her locker. Not adding one here, though, for the Lionesses. Great ball in from Leah Williamson. And James just couldn't quite direct that goalwards, quite wide of the goal. Probably should have looked here to go back across the face and try and find an England teammate. Runarsdottir across her back line to Sigurdardottir. Now Heidarsdottir going down the line. Jensen holds it up well. Can't find a teammate to make it stick. It's launched forwards here from Iceland, and Esme Morgan will step up with possession. Opts to go backwards though, choosing the safe pass to Taylor Hines. And now Williamson. Hines. Stanway round the corner into Morgan. Back to Hannah Hampton. That will just give time for Hines and Morgan to swap back positions. Williamson coming down the right-hand side. Tries to slot it inside there to Bronze, who'd made the inverted run. Didn't quite come off. England do come away with possession though on the second ball. Bronson Walsh here, upping their passing statistics. Walsh now across to Morgan. Knocks it on once more to Hines. Down the line now to Lauren James. Holding the width well on the touchline. Now looks to hit it in behind. A lovely outside the boot ball down the line. Russo competes. Shrugs off Viggersdottir. Plays it inside. Hemp dragged down. Not given as a penalty. Bronze cuts it back. Here's Park now. Dropping from the box to receive. Gives it to Walsh. A nice move there from England. Just not quite able to cap it off. Great initial ball from Lauren James. He's on the ball again here. Can she create something? Tidy footwork. Comes inside Lauren James. Lifts it in towards the back post. Head away by the recovering Sandra Jensen, but it just falls again to Lauren James, who is running the show out there at the moment. Involved in everything positive for the Lionesses. Here is Williamson. Looks for the width again of Lucy Bronze, who has options in central areas. Opts to go back to Williamson though. And now moving it across the back line. Here's Morgan. Walsh. Into Williamson. Now Bronze. Hemp. Bronze again. Drives that ball inside. Park. Moves it into Taylor Hines. Here's James. Hines. James. Lovely pass into Leah Williamson. And now Hemp holding the width well. Has Bronze in support. Puts it in there. Russo now should do better with that one. It's a little bit too straight towards her really. Russo runs onto it. Doesn't really have the space to strike it. But I think she should do better. It's just a little behind her. She's trying to drag that ball almost with the shot towards the goal. But yeah, not quite the contact she would have wanted, just rolling it really towards the goalkeeper. And Iceland now feeling let off, coming forwards. Here is Hermansdottir, strong from Georgia Stanway, who wins back possession and draws the foul for good measure. Fantastic delivery though from Lauren Hemp. Also had this opportunity a few moments ago. Let's look back at it. That ball in from Alessia Russo. And Hemp, I don't think she was dragged down in there. I think she was just stretching to get there. There's a bit of a pull, to be fair. Almost made contact with the ball, though. I think the fact she still played the ball is why the referee didn't give it. But there was definitely a drag back there from Heidarsdottir. Not really enough of a call, though, from the England players to be screaming at the referee for that one. And while it remains 0-0 here, Ryzen updating us in the live chat, it's 11-0 Japan. That's a bit of a stain on the Asian Cup, it has to be said. It's been an incredibly competitive tournament so far, where I think those smaller nations who traditionally would get pumped have really put up a good fight in certain games. But yeah, that an indication of just the difference in quality really between certain sides. Hemp, Stanway. Wide now with Lauren James. Wants to take on Eric Stottir. The support now of Hines. Ball in there. Not a great delivery. Looked for the cutback. Wasn't really on. Probably should have just gone across the face of goal. There's a few runners there in towards that 6-yard box. Here's James. Now Hannah Hampton. Into Williamson. Morgan. Walsh. Into Hines. Wider to James. And now it's May Morgan. Cross to Leah Williamson. England probing once again, trying to find a pass through the lines to penetrate. Park drops to receive. Ref gets in her way somewhat. And there is also a clip from Antonsdottir in there as well. Free kick for England. And a good position for this set piece as well. Great stuff here from Jess Park. I'm not sure how much there was a foul there, to be fair, from Antonsdottir. I think the referee sparing her own blushes because she got in the way of the play. By giving the free kick, it doesn't annoy England and it hasn't frustrated Iceland too much. There was a bit of contact in there from Antonsdottir. So there was some justification, but it was quite a soft one. Stanway over this then. Hard one to get right this because it's quite straight. You just want to get it to drop and not have too much pace on it. So someone can just tap it home, or you want to put it on the target and hope the goalkeeper makes a mess of it. Georgia Stanway now. Clips it in there. It's Bronze who's the target, and she's knocked down in there. Nothing untoward though from the Iceland defence, and it bounces through for a goal kick. Nice idea here with the routine. The two deeper runners really of Bronze and Williamson. Just using Hemp and Park as blockers in there, but Bronze just couldn't quite get up to this one between Haidardottir and Vigersdottir, and using her experience, trying to buy something in there by just nudging into the Iceland defenders on there as they're competing. Another poor goal kick here, and Vigersdottir caught out once again. Here's Russo. Can't hold on to it. Great recovery in there from Sigurdardottir. Hermansdottir around the corner to Eriksdottir. And one high here by Taylor Hines, who's dragged back. Still coming forwards, though, is Hines. Now back to James. Puts the ball in there. Great delivery. Hemp on target. Hits the post. Great movement from Lauren Hemp. Just got in between there, the full-back and the centre half. And the heads are unfortunate to not find the back of the net. Just coming off the far post. Phil says, I like the look of Hines and James. Hines seems to know when and where to give LJ the space to work. Yeah, it has been quite a complementary partnership so far. James is able to pull wide when she wants, come inside, and Hines is reading that quite well. Stanway over this corner. Who can she pick out? Stanway delivers it flat. Bronze trying to bring under her control, but it was an absolute rifle of a delivery from Georgia Stanway and a bit of a wasted set piece. But I think it makes an interesting argument as we move towards the World Cup. I think the attacking players will roughly be the same, but it's what configuration will they be? And the only change I see happening in that attacking four is Toon coming back in. But at left back, do they back Taylor Hines? Do they bring Greenwood in? Do they bring Greenwood in as a centre half? Do they keep Morgan because she's doing really well as well? It's going to be a lot to consider. think the other thing to consider is that Alex Green will be 34, I think, when we start the World Cup in 2027. Ball down the line. Here is Russo. Knocks it onto James. Ball in. Cleared away at the front post there by Arnaudottir. And a corner to follow for England. Fusion says England international levels suck. Yes, the two-time European champions, in fact the two-time reigning European champions and World Cup finalists in 2023, that they're terrible on the international stage. Yes, so bad. Corner now for England. Who can they find in the penalty area? Quite a sparse penalty box. Not too many options in there. A few dotted around the edge here. Could England try and work some sort of routine from this? The ball in towards the back post, trying to find Bronze here in a bit of space, who does take it on the volley, but wide of the mark. And you could see they were trying to do something there. Just everyone distracting towards the front post, making that run. Bronze just shifted towards the back post with that subtle movement. And it fell for her quite nicely, just couldn't quite catch it well. And slicing it wide there is Lucy Bronze. James says goal fest for Japan. Hat-tricks from Miyazawa and Ueki. Just joined, been watching Japan. Yeah, I was gutted those two games clashed today. I really wanted to cover both of that game and this match between England and Iceland, but dominant really for Japan. I think they're still, for me, favourites. I know I said Australia in my preview to win it because it's on home soil, but yeah, Japan are incredibly strong. Ball forward by Hermannsdottir, picked out in the air by Morgan. Oh, a bit messy there from Park, and Morgan bailing her out. Knocking it back to Hannah Hampton. Jonsdottir, though, didn't give up, believed in that opportunity. Couldn't quite get there. Morgan into Walsh. Wide now to James. Carries the ball forward. Lauren James shifts it now. Into Stanway. Back to James. Lovely combination. Lifts it into the box. Bronze making the header. And there is the first goal in this game. It's England 1, Iceland 0. A lovely, well-worked move down the left-hand side. The ball precisely dipped into the box by Lauren James, and Lucy Bronze making that inverted run in the perfect position to power it home. England 1, Iceland 0. And it's been coming. There's been a lot of those combinations on the left-hand side. A great understanding between various players and Lauren James today. It almost feels like everyone's fulfilling a function to allow Lauren James to shine. Just lifts it in here. Bronze making the inverted run. I think she would have intended to go across goal with the header, but instead loops it to the right-hand side. And actually the goalkeeper getting a glove to it. Not enough to stop that from coming home. It's England 1, Iceland 0. Really nice attacking move again from England. Combination between Stanway and James was really tidy. James picking up initially, gave it to Stanway. Didn't stop there though, made a run around Georgia Stanway. Just created the space, and that allowed her to lift the ball into the box, and the two Chelsea players combining on the international stage. Jason goes back to Sigurdardottir. Drilling it to the left-hand side. Heidarsdottir. Back to Jason. Herman says, what a ball from James. And as Phil says twice, that was a great header. Such a great header. He had to emphasise the point there, Phil. Sigurdardottir. Back to Heidarsdottir. And now all the way back to Runarsdottir. Who's under pressure immediately here. They do manage to work it out though. Vigersdottir. They invite the press effectively of England, and they'll play through it now. Arnaudottir carrying it forwards. Lifts it in behind. Jonsdottir making the run off the shoulder. Williamson gets a touch. And it will be a corner. Oh no, it's given us a goal kick. And Jonsdottir's furious. No, more, yeah, frustrated than furious to be fair. But let's have another look at it. Definitely comes off Williamson last, I have to say. But there we go. Goal kick for England, getting away with one there. Nice move from Iceland down the right-hand side. First time they've really been able to find that ball in behind the England backline. Hines. Park now in the pocket. Plays to James. Back to Hines. One back up the pitch. James over with a strong challenge. Been intriguing as well because I'm enjoying watching Jess Park combined with Lauren James. I've been intrigued as they can fit. If they're happy using James on the left hand side, could they possibly fit James, Toon, and Park all into the same team? Again, lots of options for England. In fact, if you're watching along, what would be your starting, your strongest starting front four for England? Let me know in the live chat. I want to hear from you guys. Now, do you have, obviously Beth Mead out injured? Does she start? Is Lauren Hemp nailed? Where do you fit James into this team? Toon come back from injury. Where does she slot in? Let me know what you think. And Chloe Kelly, is there an argument for her to start as well? For me, I would say not, but let me know if that's what you think. SPM wants 6 goals. I think we'll struggle to get to 6 today. I think Iceland are a lot better than the Ukraine side we faced on Tuesday night. I think that's shown in the first 25 minutes here because, yes, there's more space because of the way that Iceland play compared to Ukraine, but the defensive actions from the likes of Viggers Dottir, Anna Dottir, I think it's been much more difficult for England, even though there is more space for them to get those shots away. And when they are, we're seeing those actions from Iceland making life difficult for them. Ball lifted to the left-hand side. James in acres again here for England. What can she make happen? Tempting touches. Ball in again. Hemp's shot is blocked and Iceland hook it clear. Williamson now keeping the move alive. Now wide into Lauren James. Creating the space for the cross in towards the back post. Not quite finding the runner in there on this occasion. More of a speculative ball than any intended target. This was that chance though for Hemp a few moments ago. Great delivery again from James. Important block from Haidars Dottir. He was just able to step onto Hemp and make the block. Phil says Russo, James, Hemp and Toon. Yeah. I think that would probably be mine as well. I just think I think it depends again on who you use at fullbacks. But if you're using Hines and Bronze and you're encouraging them both to get forwards, I think there's an argument there that Park is a better fit for the right hand side than Hemp. I think Toon is. I think obviously Jess Park's more. I'd say Jess Park's more crucial for Man United than Ella Toon, but I think for England Toon offers you more, which is quite an interesting, almost an oxymoron there. But I think they, in terms of how they work in those systems, I think Toon is really important for England in terms of making those combination runs with Russo, in terms of being able to do the out of possession stuff as well. I mean, both are really important players for both teams, really. But I think what we've seen this season is Jess Park's the most important for United. But I think on England stage, Toon would be a really important part of this team. Yeah, we've seen that at major tournaments gone by. Phil says Kelly over Hemp, depending on opposition. I think Kelly's great at the end of games. I don't think Kelly would work with Russo, though, and I think we've kind of seen that at Arsenal. Because Kelly's fantastic at crosses. I've said this a lot about Kelly. I think there are limitations to her game, but she is one of the best in the world at crossing a football. So if you just want to get deliveries in there and really put players under pressure, put goalkeepers under pressure, Kelly's a great option. And I think but I don't think that really works with Alessia Russo. So it only really works, and we saw this at the Euros in 2025. It only really works if you bring on an aerial threat in the box as well. Which is why I think Michelle Adjurang will be a really important part of Arsenal's team once they integrate her. Whether that is next season, whether she is given another loan, obviously still recovering from an ACL injury. But I think she could be a really important part of the team. James. It's also why I'm a bit gutted we've not really seen the best of Isabel Goodwin in the WSL this season. Because I think she's a player who could have filled a similar role in the England team. to Michelle Adjumang. So, a bit of a shame we've not really seen the best of her yet in the WSL. Here is Williams-Dottir. Walsh forcing her backwards here and all the way back to our goalkeeper. Ends up dropping between the centre halves there. Feels as Kelly and Russo were key to our Champions League campaign. But I don't think we've seen enough of them combining together. And I think against teams that play a low block, you just don't really get the same out of Alessia Russo. I think that's why we've seen this season Arsenal have moved her into that 10 role. Obviously, we haven't really seen much of Chloe Kelly in an Arsenal shirt. And when we have, I don't really think she's been on her game. But and I know, you know, a lot of people have said, oh, she's got a knock, so it's a bit difficult. But yeah, I think she is a fantastic crosser of the football. That's what Chloe Kelly does best. But I think you need in there a bit of an aerial presence. And I think against teams that are very strong defensively, I don't think Russo competes as well in the air as someone like an Adjumang. Hines into Lauren James, back to Taylor Hines. Hines, Russo. Hines finds James, wants to take on Anna Dottir. Morgan, England moving it across the back line now. Williamson, Hemp in this midfield space, has Bronze wide, now uses the full back towards Hemp. Lovely combination across the box, and Russo gets there, heads it wide, has taken a touch there off one of the defenders. I believe that was Williams-Dottir following her in. Nice move again though from England, lovely combination between Hemp and Bronze. Good delivery from Hemp. And yeah, the header from Russo hitting Williams-Dottir. If not, it probably would have been on target. I thought initially it was a bit of a poor deliver, a bit of a poor header, but it does, I think, take a touch there off the defender. They're asking who scored the goal, and as Inke says it was Lucy Bronze with the header. Her first goal and her first start in these World Cup qualifiers. Ball in towards the back post. Bronze heading onto the post again there. England offering so much threat today from deliveries. Walsh clipping it in towards the back post. Punched away now and hooked clear by Williams-Dottir. Nice stuff again though from England, offering threat from these deliveries. And again, Stanway looping it in there. Bronze header on target. It's blocked up in the air. And a comfortable claim in the end for Runas-Dottir. But again, looking at that corner, Bronze has just wriggled free. And in that one-on-one with Haidars-Dottir had the aerial advantage. Header cannons off the post. And lucky there not to grab another in this game, Lucy Bronze. And so Iceland coming forward. Brilliant work from Taylor Hines to recover possession. First, as Russo has changed completely since joining us. You can see the Kelly Smith effect on her. Much more of a floating forward now. I would say Russo's skill set that she's developed at Arsenal has made her a much stronger player internationally, but I don't think it's made her a much stronger player for Arsenal this season because of how they're playing. I think with Russo, you need a team who are a bit more transitional, and I think Arsenal are way too risk averse. It's a bit like watching the men's team. When you think about Gyökeres' struggles, and I think that, you know, they're not identical profiles, but there's similarities there. When you think about some of his struggles in the men's team, you think about Russo's struggles this season, a lot of it comes from the fact that Arsenal are almost forcing these situations where there's not really any space to play into. And so Russo's great at being able to combine and then make the run in behind and those third man combination plays, but they don't really work when Arsenal move it too slowly and it allows the other teams to take their shape. You need to move the ball quicker to make that work. Like I think Russo in the sort of system that Man City are using would absolutely thrive. And Arsenal last season were a lot more transitional. This season though, they are very possession dominant, very ball dominant and quite static a lot of the time. Now that has improved in certain games, but I think it's quite noticeable that their strongest performances this season, Arsenal, have come against the top opposition. where there is that little bit more space against Chelsea and against Man City, sides who are going to play quite high lines and there is more space to exploit. Hemp now delivers it in there, bounces through and pushed away well by the goalkeeper. Lionesses out for another corner. But I think, even then games against Tottenham United, because you go, well, they're big clubs, but, Arsenal struggled. Those two sides both played very defensive in those matches. I think Arsenal at the moment, just forcing situations where teams can defend really deep against them. I think they'd be better off if they were a bit more like they were last season, where they were a bit more risky. But I think that gave them those moments where they did. I mean, there was a run where they scored like 3+ goals a game for a ridiculous number of WSL matches or match in all competitions consecutively. But we haven't seen that continue this season. Corner now for England. And they've threatened a lot from these. Lifted towards the back post, looking for bronze again. I think Iceland have gotten wise of that by now and deal with it with no issues. And coming forward now is Anthems, well held up out towards the left-hand side. Looking for Eriksdottir and pushes down bronze in there, and England free kick awarded. Hermes says LJ best player of the match so far. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lauren James is on her game, absolutely unplayable. And she's looked sharp today. I think that England are doing a really good job today. I think England in the past, and Phil's mentioned this a lot, that they struggle to get the best out of Lauren James and struggle to know her best position. Because she plays in so many different roles for Chelsea. I mean, this season alone, she's played as a right winger, attacking midfielder, left winger. She's been playing as a false 9 recently. She was even playing in sort of a more deeper midfield role at times. So, again, it's very difficult to know her best position. I don't think anyone does know her best position. But they're getting a lot out of her today. I think she's combining nicely with Stanway as she pulls to the left-hand side, combining nicely with Taylor Hines overlapping. Hemp feeds it to the left-hand side. Here's James, cushions it down, takes aim, blocked well by Arnardottir. She's been fairly selfless in this game so far, James. Choosing the more selfish option there, probably the wrong decision on that example. Lifted over the top by James into Russo, who's made the run off the shoulder well. Ball into the box. Chance now, and Hemp and Bronze just seem to get just caught up in each other there as they both challenge for the ball. And it's all smiles afterwards. I think if we weren't in a winning position, there may be a little bit more frustration on display as the two England players just seem to get in each other's way there. Great ball across from Russo. Vigersdottir doesn't deal. And yeah, Hemp just scuffing that one. Bronze making the run towards it as well. Unfortunate there, England unable to extend their advantage. Morgan into Lauren Hemp. Back to Esme Morgan. Williamson knocks it home. And England now can build out from the back once again. Williamson. Now Park. Morgan dispossessed in there is Stanway. Now Hines knocking it down the line. James wants to take on Arnardottir. Puts it in the box. Head away by Vigersdottir. Stanway. Into Hines. Walsh. And now Morgan. Katzner says, have you streamed any Swiss games? Not, well, we obviously covered the national team at the Euro 2025, of course, but we haven't done any domestic games, no. Don't know if they're available in the UK. We have considered doing NWSL. Again, though, it's just difficult because the start of the season, the NWSL season starts next weekend. And, if we had nothing on, then we'd absolutely do it. But we've got, there's WSL football, there is the League Cup final, and there's Asian Cup fixtures. James takes aim now. Lovely give and go between her and Russo. Shot saved well by Lionesses and hooked out of play. Again, lovely move here from Lauren James. Just drives the ball inside. gives it to Russo. It's a lovely combination and drills the effort towards the front post. Runarsdottir able to see it all the way though. Parry it wide. Phil said, I think now is the time to build around LJ and pick players around her. Previously, the team was too settled and successful to do it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think now that we've got, I mean, the last 4 years have been difficult because we've had sort of major tournament in 22 and 23. And then we thought we were going to be at the Olympics, didn't happen. And then obviously then the summer just gone with the Euros. So there's been quite a lot of football. James lifting it in there, that one, though not quite as strong for Lauren James. Been quite a lot of international football though, so it's difficult to change things up in a short amount of time. But we have now got this year and a full cycle of qualifiers and then friendlies to prepare for 2027. And I think England will be keen to use that. We have seen a few players move on. I think we'll see more. I mean, after World Cup 27, we'll probably see Greenwood, I think, would retire. But a lot of this team should be still playing. I think the fear would be we don't want to end up in a situation like which team was I looking at the other day with it? Australia, a great example. Australia's like entire team is 30, in like early 30s to mid 30s, and so after the World Cup 27, they're probably all going to be retiring or very close to retiring. England don't want to end up in that situation. So I think it's really important that we keep refreshing things. And I think we have done that well. I mean, Park being integrated, Taylor Hines coming into the side, Morgan getting more minutes. I've seen quite a lot of Beaver Jones as well in recent friendlies. So yeah, I think that's really important. Eriksdottir carrying it inside. Hines does well, causing an issue. Here come Iceland towards the right-hand side now. Arnardottir blocked away at the front post by Morgan. James contesting possession. And just a little too strong there, it's deemed by the assistant referee, given as a free kick now for Iceland in a decent position. But yeah, I think England are in that position where they shouldn't have too many retirees after 27 because I think Greenwood will retire. Outside of that though, I think Walsh has definitely got another tournament in there, as does Stanway. We're hosting a tournament not too distant future, aren't we? I want to say either the Women's Euros in 2031, no, Women's World Cup in 2031, something like that. I can't remember now. Might be 2035 actually that we've got the World Cup, or bidding for the World Cup at least. So Iceland, decent position for this delivery. Who can they pick out? Ball delivered in towards the front post. Comfortable claim for Hannah Hampton. They would have wanted to do a bit more with that one, I think, Iceland. Not quite able there to make anything of that, and Hampton with no issues claiming that. England in possession. Morgan to the left-hand side with Hines. Tries to knock it forwards, cut out there by Arnardottir. And now James wins it high up the pitch. Stanway going back into Morgan. Williamson. Wide now to Lucy Bronze. Back to Williamson. Knocking it in behind. Russo makes that run off the shoulder again. A little wide of the mark here. And either way is offside. Flag going up from the assistant referee here on the near side. And I think that's a little harsh. Again, with no VAR, has to make that decision immediately. But I think it's very tight there. Harry says Lauren James defends well. Yeah, I liked her piece in was it The Guardian? She did an article in, I did an interview with. I thought that was, she spoke well in that. Typically, it was met by the usual people who don't like Lauren James banging on about the incident of the 2023 World Cup, which of course is I was about to say commendable. It's not what I mean. Condemnable. But I think she's matured so much since that. Yeah, I think she's right in that the nonchalance she plays the game with, or at least the demeanour she has on the pitch, it comes across as not caring, but she's just calm, just very controlled out on the field, and I think that's been really important. Ball forwards into Russo, touches it back to Park, and she get a shot away. Now Russo takes aim, and a comfortable claim there for Runas Dottir, just too central with the strike. Locus says she's chosen now the other Thompson sister for left back, Giselle. I think so long term, absolutely. Love to see that. But I think short term, I'd let her develop in America for at least another season. No, I think, we brought Alyssa Thompson at 21. Giselle's only 19. I think we can still let her develop a little bit more. Stanway carrying it forwards, knocks it wide now. Here's Hemp. Takes aim, just over the bar there from Lauren Hemp. Trying to curl it towards that far corner. A bit too central though. Doesn't get enough dip on it to put it on target. But yeah, I think Giselle's a massive, massive talent. But I would rather let her develop, and because you're always going to have, if any club goes in for her, you're going to have a great opportunity of getting her because Alyssa's at Chelsea. So I don't think there's any rush to go and sign Giselle Thompson. I don't really see who else goes and gets her either. So I think just let her develop at Angel City. And then if she develops into the kind of player Chelsea want to sign, make a move for them. Waiting to find out how much additional time we've got in this half. And well, I'm going to be waiting a long time because we've got no minutes of additional time after 45 minutes here in this game. It's been a strong first half from the Lionesses, who lead by a goal to nil going into the break. It was Lucy Bronze's header turning home across from Lauren James that gave England the lead. Getting confused there as to which team the two are playing for, but England have been really strong. I think they've moved the ball well. I think they've created a lot of opportunities. Yeah, they've really dictated this game. Haven't quite kicked on and found that second goal. They've had chances though. Bronze has had about 3 or 4 headers in this game now, including the one she scored. Russo had a few good opportunities. Hemp had that one where it was played across the box by Russo, I believe, and she just couldn't quite get there to turn it home. But yeah, they've been really strong, the Lionesses. I think they'll be hoping really to kick on and see what happens in the second half. But if they can keep this level of performance up, Iceland have threatened occasionally, but not with much consistency. So yeah, if they keep playing the way they are, England, I think they'll be in a fine position. Just trying to find some stats from that first half to run through, because FotMob doesn't have much on this game. But it has been a really strong showing from the Lionesses as they build towards that tournament in the World Cup. A big tournament, really, in Brazil. I think it's going to be this the trophy that Wiegman wants to win, right? And I think there will be a discussion that if Serena Wiegman and England win the World Cup in 27, now I'm not sure on her contract, it may go through 2029. Can't remember, but I know it definitely, obviously, it's definitely up to next summer. Is there an argument that could she look to move on? She'd have done it all then. 2 European titles, World Cup finalists, and then World Cup winners. I wonder if that could be, England have to have a succession plan in place for that to happen. But yeah, that's a long way off. Not something we need to worry about right now, but I think that will be something to be concerned about if England do win the World Cup. But yeah, England have been so impressive in this first half here. Really strong play. Iceland haven't really been able to get forwards with the ball. If we take a look at some of the stats from that first half, England, more of the possession, 68.6% compared to Iceland's 31%. That just not quite as dominant as we saw on Tuesday night, of course, but still, most of the possession, dominant really. And we have seen passages for Iceland with the ball. They've not got it forwards, not been able to play through the lines. I think England have been really effective out of possession to limit those opportunities to play the ball through. I think where there was some concern today about Iceland's ability to hurt England in transitional moments, but that's not really happened. I think what England have done so effectively is they've pressed Iceland quite aggressively. They've pushed them into the corner as well. So we're seeing occasional sort of speculative balls down the line in the hope of finding someone, but we've not really seen anything that's going to amount to a goal or a chance. So yeah, huge credit to England working hard off the ball to be able to make that happen. 15 shots to none, showing there Iceland's lack of attacking intent. 4 shots on target to none as well. 25 touches in the opposition box to just 1 for Iceland. It's just been complete dominance. I think there will be a bit of frustration about the lack of clinicality. I think this has been a massive issue for England, where from 15 shots, you'd probably, I mean, you want to have at least half of those on target, really. If it's a game where you're having 30 shots, maybe a lot more of those are speculative. But I think, England would have wanted to put more on target, would have wanted to put Runarsdottir under a bit more pressure. I think that the saves she has made haven't been too difficult. So there'll be a little bit of disappointment there that England haven't tested her more. But I think overall it's been a really strong showing. I think clearly getting Lauren James, clearly prioritising getting James into positions where she can thrive, rather than a situation where she's just another cog in the team. And I think, recognising that James is the most talented player in this team. Now, it's a team with so much quality. But in terms of raw talent, in terms of just being able to determine a game, Lauren James is just a cut above the rest, in my opinion. I think a player who, is just incredible on the ball, has a great eye for a delivery, is so dangerous in possession, a fantastic ball carrier and dribbler. And I think England are finally, or at least from what we've seen there in the first half, finally starting to understand how to get the best out of her. So, I think it's been a really enjoyable watch. And James has thrived. That ball in for Lucy Bronze's header was exquisite. And it's a lovely give and go between herself and Stanway. The understanding between James and Hines has been really strong in this game as well. And those combinations are looking really good. There's a few times as well where we've seen actually James coming inside of the ball and linking up with Alessia Russo. And that's really exciting to see as well. Russo being able to be more of that hold-up striker. We know her interplay is really good, Russo. I don't think we've seen enough of that at Arsenal this season. But combined really nicely a few times. This is that goal again then. Stanway does well here, just a delay. Really well to read as well the movement from Lauren James. James with the delightful dink into the box, picking out Bronze well. There's this just instinctive understanding almost where James picks up the ball. She's looking for Lucy Bronze. Bronze knows where that ball is coming and she can just dart onto it and head it home. Really good header from Lucy Bronze. Great delivery from Lauren James. CD says, to be fair, England hit the post twice. Yeah, that is true as well. Those go in. It's a different game as well. But 1-0. England will want to kick on. We'll want to find a few more goals in this game. Only 3 saves forced out of Runarsdottir so far. CM says, I can see Greenwood, Mead and Bronze all retiring from international football after the next World Cup. Yeah, that's probably true. I do think that right back position is one where there is a big gap in the succession plan there. Because I don't think Le Tissier gives you what you really want from a right back in this England setup. She's a fantastic footballer, Maya Le Tissier. Undoubtedly a fantastic footballer. One of the best centre-backs in the WSL, but not a right back. And I think they've got, obviously, Ella Morris coming through, Anik Denton coming through, Aria Dennis coming through. Are any of those going to be starting in quality? It's probably too early to say on most of them. But there are options there. We've seen Denton got a call up, so that's an option. It's also the option that Taylor Hines could play right back. Not a perfect fit, but she can do a job there. I think I'd rather see Hines playing right back than forcing Le Tissier into that kind of position. So Phil says at Arsenal it's impossible for Russo to interplay as our wingers never give it to her, never give her it back. Yeah, I do agree. I think at Arsenal there are issues with the wide players. I think we saw it a little bit at the start of the season with Smith coming off the left-hand side, but we've seen more of Smith on the right and now obviously is sort of a striker now for Arsenal. And we know Slagers wants the wingers really to be the players who hold the width in that system, rather than players that come inside and combine. I think the best way to do it was with Mariona Caldente, but she's too deep in the field to do that for Arsenal. Kevin says, Bronze is a warrior. She could last longer than Marta. Yeah, my concern would be, does she just sudden... I mean, her physicals are still so strong. I think that's what's incredible about Bronze. What you often see with players, or the traditional path, is that they they keep that game IQ and they keep that, you know, ability, that technical ability. But as soon as their physical qualities start to deteriorate, as soon as they become a bit slower and a little less stronger, not quite as combative, that's where we start to see them really struggle at the elite level, and they often start to sort of make that step down or retire. But yeah, Bronze's physicals have stayed broadly the same. Now, obviously, she's lost a yard of pace, but I think she's done really well to adjust her game to that. I think that was always going to be a big concern, because we think about Lucy Bronze sort of like 2015 Lucy Bronze, even up to pretty much when she joined Chelsea, even like Bronze at Barcelona. She's a player who is so aggressively attacking, so aggressively attack-minded, and a lot of her defensive game relied on her being able to recover really quickly. But I think Bronze has become a lot better at reading the game and adjusting and being able to drop when it's appropriate, and just understanding when she needs to drop, really. A graph on screen showing, or table on screen, she's now the third most capped player in international England women's history. 20 caps now off top. Could she get that? That is what we've got. 4 more qualifiers, 4 more friendlies, and then how many games at the next World Cup? Because we're moving up, aren't we? The World Cup now goes to, is it 32 or 48? Because we had an extension last tournament. I think we've got another exceeding really for the World Cup in 2027. But I can't remember how many teams that is. But there's a good few games in there where she'll probably get to within about 10 of that. So if she plays in the friendlies after that. Oh, sorry, no, it's the same as 2023. So 32 teams. The 2031 edition will have 48 teams. And that's the edition being hosted in America. So, yeah, so the same amount of games as at the last tournament of England go all the way. I think Bronte will want to be the most capped player in England history. She's not too far away from that now. And if she can keep playing to 37, she could also play then the 2029 Euro. So it depends, you know, how quickly now, if she has any drop off. If she can stay at the level to compete, then I think that'd be fine. But yeah, I think if there is that, obviously there is that drop off, then England will have to stop playing Lucy Bronze eventually. But yeah, for now, she's still showing it. And yeah, lost that explosivity, but I think she's gained a lot. Playing at Chelsea and playing in the WSL, I think she's gained a lot in terms of game intelligence and game understanding. And I think, you know, I think a player who has adjusted well. What we've seen for a lot of players in the last few years is that because the tactical level of the game has increased so quickly and the technical floor has got so high, a lot of players like Millie Bright and players who were stalwarts really in the mid-2010s, going even into the 2020s, really. Those players have sort of been left behind, but I think Bronze adapted really well to the modern game. And I think, yeah, her game understanding has increased as her sort of physical side has started to drop off a little. Denise Barry says, Hemp needs to learn how to kick with her right foot. Well, that's why I was a little intrigued to see her on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side today. Because obviously she's usually the type of winger who likes to hold the width. Now what we've seen actually is her playing in a bit more of an inverted role to allow Bronze to overlap, and sometimes those two are the other way around, so Hemp holds the width and Bronze comes inside. I do think it's a very interesting way of using her. If England were going to go for Hines and Bronze as fullbacks and not using Hemp to hold the width, I'd almost be inclined to say we should start Park over Hemp. Have James, Toon and Park, because I love Lauren Hemp. I think she's a fantastic footballer. And I think if you're going to use a winger who's going to hold the width, there's not any better available to England than Lauren Hemp. So, yeah, I think it's a difficult one. But if England aren't going to use wingers to hold width and create width, if they're going to use them in the pockets instead, then I would say you'll be better off having Park and James and Toon all sort of combining in those central areas with then the fullbacks overlapping. So I think that could be something that will be very interesting if we get into the next World Cup. If England are going to use Hines as the starting left back, which, you know, I think once Greenwood comes back, maybe we'll just see Hemp move back to the left-hand side and they go back to the same format they've used. But yeah, I'll be intrigued to see. Phil says, I think she'll catch Farah if she avoids a bad injury. Yeah, I could see it. Kevin says, 48 teams sounds too much. Look at India today. 2 weak will be mismatches. I don't think it'll be too bad. You've got to bear in mind that that is 5 years away. And I think that the game is growing so quickly. Because, yeah, India haven't been great today, but India gave a great fight to Vietnam last week. And India are a side who've traditionally not been strong, or at least in recent years haven't been strong in the women's game. But look at teams instead like the Philippines. The Philippines never qualified for anything. They were at the last World Cup and they were at the Asian Cup this year. And they gave a really good game to both Australia and South Korea. So it is increasing. The level is increasing so quickly. And if we look at where those 48 are coming from, you have got 6 Asia spots. So 6 spots from the AFC. So that is going to be Australia, Japan. That is going to be, if North Korea are allowed to compete in that, North Korea, South Korea. You've then got, I'm trying to think, I'm forgetting now, of the top teams. But you've got 2 more in there of the sort of the rest of Asia. Where I think if you've got a China, sorry, I completely forgot China in there. That's then 5, and then you have 1 more in there. If that is a Vietnam, if that is a Philippines who are at the last World Cup, they're teams who can come in and compete as that sort of extra team. I think 48 is probably a little too much, but I think it's workable. I don't think these teams are going to get absolutely bullied, to be fair. Like CAF has got 4 slots. Oh, sorry. So it's there are then extra playoffs. There will be a possible another 2 for Asia, but they'd have to get past 2 from CAF. So yeah, it all just determines how it comes together. But yeah, they'll have to come through a lot of qualifiers to get through to the tournament, the proper tournament. Second half about to get underway here at the City Ground, Iceland. Get us started, knock it back. And we're back underway in this game. Phil says both World Cups should be 32. It's supposed to be the pinnacle. Getting there should be a challenge and celebrated. Yeah, I agree. I think I prefer a 32-team World Cup. Ultimately, they want to play as many games as possible. I think 64 is absolutely ridiculous, which is what the Men's World Cup is moving to, isn't it, after this edition? That's just, at that point, you might as well just invite all of the nations in the world, bin off qualifiers, and just have a 200-team knockout tournament. I think that would be great fun. That's what the World Cup should be. Like, I want to see Vanuatu versus the Solomon Islands for a chance to play Spain or Brazil. No changes for England. 1 change for Iceland. Didn't quite catch who it was for though. I think it was the number 7. Thomas Dottir coming on, but I'm not 100% sure. Anna Dottir back now to Runars Dottir, launching it forwards. Iceland trying to progress the ball, moving it across the back line. Vigars Dottir. Now with Anna Dottir, pass inside to Hermans Dottir. Under a bit of pressure here. Forced back to Anna Dottir. Sigurdar Dottir. Now Antons Dottir. Hermans Dottir on the ball on the right-hand side, carrying it forwards. Looks down the line now. Searching for the run of Gross, the substitute. So Maria Gross coming on, I think, for Lionesses Dottir. We'll have a look as the lineup cycle through, but it's a throw-in now. We know Svinas Jonsdottir has the ability to loop these into the penalty area. Can they make it work on this occasion? Jonsdottir launching into the area. It's nodded away by Lucy Bronze. Drops again for Jonsdottir. On Anna Dottir, back to Jonsdottir, creating space for the cross. Lifting it on top of the goalkeeper, Hampton, with a good claim. And England can look to play out. Nemesis, more goals, please. Yeah, for all their dominance, it's still only 1-0, but I think England will kick on in their second half. Here's Hemp. Now Walsh. And yeah, Gruss coming onto the field in place of Lionesses. James darting inside. Gives it back to Walsh. And now Morgan. Hampton. Williamson. And Morgan into Taylor Hines. And now Russo. But yeah, I think Morgan and Williamson are a really nice partnership as well at centre-back. I think what we've always had is that we've tried to fit in two similar players. Pass inside from Bronze to Park. Now Hemp creating the space for the cross towards the back post. Headed away there. An important intervention from Arnadotte because Georgia Stanway was lurking there. Hoping to find an opportunity at the back post. But I think England have always used centre-back partnerships where they're too similar and not particularly complementary. Like Bright and Williamson never really worked. Williamson, Ruben Moy doesn't really work. We've seen that at Arsenal as well. They're just too similar. But I think with Morgan, because she's a very good passer as well, but not really a long distance passer. Stanway puts it in there and that's claimed well. You know, a lot of those centre halves, they like to play those balls over the top, likes to, you know, play those switches. Williamson's fantastic at them. But because they like to do the same, they're just a bit too similar. Whereas Morgan is a lot more assertive, starts to jump up as a centre half. She, I think, is a lot more... She's a much better carrier. Obviously, naturally, she started as a fullback, I believe. Or at least has played a lot as a fullback. So her carrying is really strong. And often we've seen her carry the ball into midfield. I just think she gives you something completely different to Williamson, which I really like. Weak there from Arnadotte, letting that run under her foot. Thrown on this near side for England. Moosey, welcome to the stream. Says, who scored? I'm new here. It was Lucy Bronze with the goal for England. The only goal of the game so far, assisted by Lauren James. Outside of that, well, there's been a flurry of chances for England in that first half. Not been able to take any of them, though, and only lead by a 1-0. Here is Hampton. Pass across to Leah Williamson. Now Morgan. Carrying the ball forwards. Wide to James. Lovely turn there from Lauren James. Trying to create space here for the cross. Lifts it in there. Nodded on. Bronze at the back post. Just gets under that one, Lucy Bronze. Another James delivery. Trying to find Bronze. This time, though, Bronze just not quite getting it right. It's brilliant again from James. Looking to take on Anton Stotte. And the ball in. I think there's a touch on in there from Russo. Not sure how much contact she makes with it, actually. And Bronze, it bounces up quite high and she just catches it and sends it higher. Bit of a difficult one to do much with. Ball forwards here. Russo picks up in the channel. Needs support. Touch out of play by Arnadotte. Hines. Now Stanway. Stanway plays it forwards to Russo. Round the corner into Taylor Hines. Hines back out to James. Looking to feed the box. Now Stanway. Moving it to the right-hand side. Williamson tries to go through the lines. Takes a nick, though, off Sigurd Ardotti. And into the gloves of Runarsdottir. And now Iceland will build out from the back again. Plays it into Vigersdottir. Forward pass from Runarsdottir, picked off here by James, carries it forwards. Lovely work from James, links up with Russo, takes aim, it's blocked. Here's Stanway, should do better as it's blocked again. Here's Hemp, takes aim and over the bar. Great chances there for England. James just didn't quite have the space to take on the shot. Tried to make it work, combining with Russo. And almost did so. The shot was blocked. It falls to Stanway. She just needs to hit this first time, but obviously tries to create a better angle and it's blocked. And then Lauren Hemp just aiming for the far post. A little bit too much on that, and it doesn't curl enough to come inside there. Just whistling though far past the post. Another great move from England, not quite capture the goal. And here Hemp getting back in and doing the defensive work and carrying it out to the left-hand side into the feet of Russo, who makes it stick. Now trying to find Bronze on the right-hand side. Goes for Park instead. Stanway, now Bronze. Back inside to Stanway. What to make the third man pass there, Bronze. She wanted to go down the line. Tried to play it inside to Stanway, and she had a better angle down or forwards into Park, but it just didn't quite come off there. Williamson. And now Hines. Park. Stanway. Williamson again. Clips it in there. Hines. And that's not quite what she wanted to do there, Taylor Hines. Won well here by Hemp. Worked hard. Ball has gone off the pitch, though, according to the assistant referee. Great movement here from Hines to reach it at the back post. Just makes a bit of a mess of it. It's a great diagonal ball from Leah Williamson. And yeah, Hines, I think, just panics a little bit. Want to fashion a ball across the box as quickly as possible. But yeah, just not way too much height on it. And yeah, ultimately running out of play. Williams-Dottir does well to draw the foul of Kira Walsh. Now though, let's play forward from this position. As ITV cut to some bloke I do not recognise. And unfortunately, there are only graphics. Usually on Sky, you get a little graphic telling you who it is. But just focusing in on someone there. If anyone does know, let me know. I'm intrigued. Williams-Dottir. Looking forward, slips into Williams-Dottir, loses out in there though. Here's Williamson. Wide now to Alessia Russo. He'll carry this ball forward for England. Russo into the box, blocked away by Williams-Dottir. And now it's Lauren Hemp. Russo. Good challenge in there from Williams-Dottir. Morgan. Back now to Hampson. Shot after shot from England, says Hermie, and Denise saying, how many more chances? When are England going to find another goal? Well, it's Park coming inside now. Lovely footwork from Jess Park. Hines, James. Trying to go back to Taylor Hines. Just wasn't enough distance between the two. James now. Great delivery. No one meeting it though. No one quite made the run towards the back post, and it was just slightly ahead of Russo. Walsh. Stanway. Walsh. James. Forced backwards. Moves his head. Jess Park not quite good in the middle. She shines on the wing. I disagree. I think a lot of Park's best work, as we think of her as a right winger, is in that central pocket. And that's kind of where she's played today. I think it's just that she's very similar to Lauren James, but just not quite as good. So England are feeding James constantly, and they're not giving Park the ball to try and do the same stuff. James comes inside, lets fly. Too central though. Just almost wraps around that too much. Was hoping to open up the body and fire towards the far corner, but just, yeah, wrapped it around it a little too much and ended up catching it and, well, comfortable claim for the goalkeepers, ended up quite central. Now Iceland playing to the left-hand side. Hemp into Williamson. Williamson now back into Morgan. Here's Hines. Now Williamson. Looking to move it across the back line. Morgan. Hines plays it wide into James. Great touch there. Just draws in the defender really with a touch and then looks to burst away. Stanway probably should have played that first time. The James goes across the pitch though. It still works for England. Out towards the right-hand side. Bronze holding the width well. Gives it to Hemp. Tries to play it into the box. It's blocked away well. And now Bronze heading to Williamson. Bronze again. Williamson into Hines. Ball forwards, picked off well. And Iceland coming forward. Hermansdottir knocks it in behind. And a great run here from Williamsdottir, but it's going to run out of play. Too much on that. Just running through. First time I've really seen Iceland try and go more direct or almost succeed in going more direct. Just a little too much on that ball towards Williamsdottir. Yeah, struggled to keep that in. Hemp trying to go down the line. Ends up taking it out of play though. Iceland preparing a change here. Just trying to work out who that might be. Sight thrown, and despite this being from quite a distance, Jonsdottir is going to try another long throw. And then they end up taking it short. Back to, I didn't think she was going to try and launch that in the box. I don't think she would have reached it. Nice give and go though. Jonsdottir into the area. Header on target. What a save from Hannah Hampton. It's Sandra Jason who gets the header away. And Hannah Hampton bailing England out there. The reaction wasn't quick enough to the short routine from Iceland. They left players in the area. It's a great cross from Jonsdottir. And Jason meets it well. But Hannah Hampton, utterly brilliant that from the England #1, and earns herself a very impressed round of applause there from the fans behind the goal. That's a great start from Hampton. Another corner then for Iceland. And well, they are swarming Hampton here, as they'll try and just push this over the line almost, and it's Carolina Williamsdottir over this. Swings in towards the front post, and that launched away by Georgia Stanway. Lifted forwards, looking for Sandra Jason, and that will trickle out of play for an England goal kick. Kevin says warning bells should be ringing. I think it's the first time Iceland have been in our half, I think. And their first shot of the game, I'm not too concerned. I think England's lack of clinicality, because I mean the first half they had 15 shots, 4 on target, something like that. Second half they've taken another 7 shots, only put 1 on target. So that's more of a concern for me, England's lack of efficiency in front of goal. Changes here for Iceland. I think it's a triple substitution. So bear with me a moment as we muddle our way through the changes here. It looks like, I think that's Augustsdottir coming on. So Amelia Aesgeirsdottir, and they cut across the bloke on the subs bench. I'm guessing he's related. So Hermannsdottir taken out of the midfield. Aesgeirsdottir coming in. Williamsdottir makes way as well for Johansdottir. And a double change, okay. Thought it may have been 3, but it is only 2 for Iceland at this stage. Their third change of the game, though. England yet to turn to their bench as we are over the hour mark. Half an hour to play. Jonsdottir. Ball lifted into Johansdottir. Aesgeirsdottir tries to play it forwards, and one back well in there by Stanway. But yeah, I can't say I know much about Amelia Aesgeirsdottir. A younger player, someone who wasn't involved in their squad for the Euro 2025, or at least didn't get on the pitch. And yeah, now getting involved for Iceland. Will England start to look for changes soon? Hampton. Williamson plays into Hemp. Knocks it in behind. Park gives chase. It will run through though. To Runarsdottir. And now coming forwards. Johansdottir knocks it wide. Jason touching it down the line. Looking for Jonsdottir. One back in there by Bronze. Morgan into Kira Walsh. Now Morgan across to the left-hand side. Here's Hines. Wide now with Georgia Stanway. James, Hines. Combining on this left-hand side again. Walsh. Here is James. Back to Walsh. Back to James. It's now looking forwards, trying to be positive with the football. Back instead to Stanway though. And now Williamson. Stanway. Here's James, wants to go down the line. Lovely footwork from Lauren James. Plays it inside now to Russo, who tries to turn out. Doesn't quite come off. And that's cleared away a little haphazardly there. And will bounce out for an England throw-in. So, attention, we'll turn substitutes soon. 3 out to warm up. Bleaker Brown, Letitia and Chloe Kelly. They would all make sense. You'd like to think that would be for James, one of Stanway or Walsh, and then Williamson would be the ideal, wouldn't it? I think they're the players that could do with the rest the most. Or Bronze, to be fair. She's also only just back from injury. Here is Leah Williamson. Morgan into Hines. By the way, if you are enjoying the show and haven't yet left a like, make sure to do so. 120 people watching, only 42 likes. If you haven't left a like, let's get that up to 50. And help support the show. Let YouTube know that you're enjoying the content and they can push it to more people. And of course, if you are new to the channel and haven't yet hit subscribe, we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Our goal is to hit that before the Women's FA Cup final, the last game of the 25-26 season. And we are closing in on 8.2k. So if you could subscribe and help us towards that goal, that'd be massively appreciated. England coming forwards now. Hemp tries to get around Heidarsdottir. Brilliant work from the Iceland fullback. Now, Johansdottir One high by Williamson, who jumped onto it well. Anton's Dottir giving it away, though. Here's Lauren Hemp. Walsh, Hemp. Park. On back well. Bronze, though, working hard. Park finds Lauren James. And now Morgan. Williamson knocking it across to Esme Morgan. Now James driving that ball forwards, takes aim and it's blocked. And now Taylor Hines. Knocks it inside. Here's Stanway. Hemp, Park. Trying to drive her way through that central area. Now Walsh. Bronze. Williamson switching the play. Kevin says game needs a Freya Godfrey. Yeah, it's a shame she hasn't really been given opportunity, and you know we're only 1-0 up. So is it the kind of game you bring Godfrey into? Not usually. Yeah, again, I still find it really weird. I feel like I've said it loads, so apologies if you feel like I'm droning on, but I feel like it was so weird we didn't see her on Tuesday when we were in such a comfortable position. And that would have been a perfect time to introduce Godfrey, but there we go. Sood says, could the scoreline remain as it is until full time? I don't think so. I think England need another goal. Ball in behind. Here's Russo. Can she score from this angle? Takes aim. Great stop from Runas Dottir. Drops now for Lauren James to Stanway. Back towards James. Takes aim. Just over the bar. She's been at the heart of everything in this match, Lauren James. But it was Russo who created this opportunity at first. Great run to the channel. Williamson picked her out well. It dropped then for James, who combined with Russo but couldn't quite find the target. This might not be LJ's most productive game, but I think it's my favourite. I love watching Lauren James play football. Just every game that she's on the pitch is so much more enjoyable. Walsh losing out in there. Recovered well by Hemp. Bit of a late challenge that from Johan Stotter, and the referee taking her time, then does give the free kick. Didn't give that initially there. I think as soon as she saw, though, that Hemp was down in a bit of discomfort, she decided there to give the foul. But yeah, it is. She's just gone in a little high there from Johan Stotter. I think she's somewhat fortunate to not get a yellow card because there's a bit of force and a little bit of height. 20 minutes to play in this one then. England still not using their subs. We know Vivian likes to go late, and this is a competitive fixture, but it'd be nice to see someone very soon. I think we're starting to see England tire out there, and you would be concerned that Iceland are getting more into this game, albeit they have only had one shot up to this point. Bronze, Hemp. Lifts it to the left-hand side. Morgan. That's great pressure from Gross, who can't quite keep it in play, and that will run for an England throw-in on this near side. Hines throws it forwards into Russo, tries to spin Anna Dottir. One back well, though, by Iceland. Anna Dottir inside to Anton's Dottir. Lovely sweep around the corner, but not quite accurate. Great pressure from Park to force that to be a misplaced pass. Hines. Walsh. And now Hampton knocks it forwards. Williamson tries to go in behind, intercepted well by Haidars Dottir. England throw in now, high up the pitch on this right-hand side. Bronze. Now Russo. Back to Bronze. Now Jonsdottir. Hemp. Georgia Stanway carries towards the left-hand side into James, who wants to come inside with the ball, wants to get a shot away, Lauren James. Forced wide, lovely footwork though, still going James, lifts it in there, Russo can't quite meet it well. Brilliant again though from James. Our England finally finding the best way to utilise her on this left-hand side. I think the problem is it's the position where, because of Lauren Hemp, you'd never consider her. But I like that Wiegman's trying it today. Ball in behind. It's more speculative this time from James with the outside the boot. Just trying to capture the run there of Alessia Russo. But it's not a picture-perfect pass. Launched forwards by Runarsdottir. One in midfield here by Morgan, who stepped up. Drops now for James, who's have to be a little more conservative with this as she goes back to Hines. Morgan. Hines and Morgan exchanging back across to Taylor Hines. Ball down the line. Stanway. Plays it to Park. James lifts it in there, headed away well by Viggarsdottir. Hines sticks the head in where it hurts, and there's an offside flag up anyway. And I'm not really sure which direction that's come from. I think that's an England free kick, so it must be on Iceland, but they've dropped from some distance there to be offside. England readying changes now, and that will be the end of the game for Lauren James. She's thrived on that left-hand side. Good to see her now, though, getting that rest. As she makes way for Chloe Kelly. Great performance from James. Kelly on now. Could we see them swap, potentially, Kelly and Hemp? No, it looks like Kelly will come straight to the left-hand side. Did just wonder whether they may consider swapping the two. Kelly more of a right winger, James more of a left, Hemp more of a left winger. But let's keep it the same. Stanway inside towards Russo, picked off in there by Jonsdottir. Now play forced back to Arnardottir, who's going to launch it up the line, and that will bounce out of play. And now, Iceland bringing another change in this match. Their fourth of the game, and I believe it is attacker Delia Zommers coming on. Plays a club football for Brann. Has enjoyed a very creative season so far. Or last season, I should say. Obviously, they haven't kicked off their domestic campaign just yet. And it's been just Jonsdottir, the player, that's made way. Williamson. To the right-hand side. Bronze. Knocks it down the line. Here's Hemp. Creating the space, the delivery. That's a good ball. Both Kelly and Russo charging towards it, but it just seems to bounce away from them there. And into the hands of Runarsdottir. Walsh. Now Taylor Hines. England once again building out from the back. Hines. Here's Kelly. And now back into Leah Williamson. Hines. Knocked wide into Kelly. Hines again. Williamson to the right-hand side. Bronze now. Or Hemp now, sorry. Coming inside, back wide with Bronze. Swung into the box. Shot now, and that's a brilliant goal from Georgia Stanway. Lovely give and go down the right-hand side. Bronze linking up with Hemp. And that's the perfect delivery. Picking out Stanway between the defenders. And she's rifled that shot home. England 2, Iceland 0. Really well worked play down the right-hand side. Georgia Stanway finding Akers in and around that penalty spot. Let's have another look at that lovely overlapping movement of Lucy Bronze. Hits the penalty spot. And Stanway knows exactly where to find it. And that's a really well struck effort from Georgia Stanway. Burying it in the bottom corner. And giving England a cushion in this game. England 2, Iceland 0. But yeah, really good stuff. Stanway's goal scoring record in the international scene is so strong, and often we credit those to penalties, but that's one where it's just pure striking instinct, really. Making that movement to the penalty spot. And 3 goals now over 2 international fixtures for Georgia Stanway. Ball launched towards the right-hand side there from Hampton, unable to find Hemp. And that'll be a throw-in for Iceland on the far side. In no rush at the moment to take it. Haidar-Dottir looking down the line. Well held up in there by Zommers. Knocks it back. Haidar-Dottir. Round the corner from Johansdottir. That's a poor pass though. Picked off well by Alessia Russo. Carries towards the left-hand side. Kelly now bringing it wide. Needing support. Hines up in support now. Does use her. Gives it back to Kelly. Trying to create the angle for the cross. Not really able to create the space though, and just firing it into the defender. One back by Iceland. Gruss. Down the line. Into Johansdottir. Here's Asgeirsdottir. Now playing to the left-hand side. Ball down the line, looking for Zommers. And that runs out of play, and that will be an England throw. Still only one change used, though. You think England might try and rattle through a couple now. There's only 10 minutes to play. It feels a little bit pointless, but there we go. Russo makes it stick, dragged down in there by Haidar-Dottir. Free kick for England, and that'll just allow them to slow this game down. Shouldn't be too much additional time. The ball has been in play for pretty much all the game. We haven't had any stoppages. No injuries, no one slowing the game down for any unnecessary reasons. You know, it shouldn't be a compliment anymore that both teams have come and played football today, but it is. Given how some football games can go. I mean, we've been watching the Asian Cup this week, and we've seen 12 minutes, 11 minutes of additional time because they're just trying to manipulate the rules of it, and the amount of goal kicks have been sat on the floor. That's where that becomes a little egregious. Just constant time wasting, but this has been a fluid game. It's flowed quite nicely. Iceland have dealt well with England at times. England, I think, have been a little bit... They haven't penetrated as much as they perhaps should have. But they've also been quite wasteful with opportunities they've had. Here's Hemp. Back inside to Bronze. Pokes it to Russo. Blocked wide. And Lauren Hemp will see it out for a corner. Yeah, I mean, I make it like 25 shots now, 27 shots, with only 7 on target. It's not the worst conversion rate, but you'd want to see a higher shot accuracy than that. Especially with 42 touches in the opposition box. But yeah, they played really well, England. This has been a strong showing. Must be nice for residents of the City Ground. Getting to see some free-flowing football. Corner now again for England. They have threatened from these, albeit they've not yet been able to find the target. Kelly, poor delivery, and Jason clears that away. But yeah, the corners have been great this game. Mainly Lauren Hemp's been taking them. I think, I want to say Georgia Stanway as well was taking them on the other side. But yeah, Kelly taking one there. Not quite the delivery I think she was looking for. Morgan, Hines. Wide now to Lauren Hemp. They have swapped Hemp and Kelly, which makes sense. Ball in, that's blocked away. Park seemed to make the run across Hemp a little bit there. But still not a bad delivery. Needed dealing with. And so, another corner, and well, Bronze here is either going to run from deep or is trying to create a distraction. Kelly and Park combine. Here's Walsh on the edge. Let's fly. And well, that's a wild attempt towards goal from Kira Walsh. Just slicing it wide. Unable to find the target. And yet time ticking away. Change coming for England again here. Jess Park making her way off the field. And she'll be replaced by Laura Blinkilder-Brown. Another single substitution for England. And so Iceland building out again from the back. Ball lifted forward here by Vigars-Dottir. Headed on, and Hines getting in front of it does well, nodding it out of play. Anna Dottir plays it inside, header won by Stanway. Blinkilder-Brown, both sides exchanging quickly here in midfield. And now brought down by Williamson, who squeezes it to the left-hand side. Hines, though, dispossessed in there well. Here's Vigars-Dottir, plays it inside, and that's just a little bit in front of her teammate, Johansdottir. And now it's clear to Russo, who makes it stick well. Here's Hemp. Williamson. Great switch of the play. Kelly bringing it down with grace. Hines. Williamson. Looks down the line. Into Hemp. Now Blinkilder-Brown. He wasn't quite aware that one was coming towards her. Hooked out of play by Sigurdardottir. England now with a throw. Of course, this might not be a classic performance, but I've seen enough to be very happy. Yeah, I think there's some nice stuff coming together. I think England have put themselves in a really comfortable spot now in this qualification phase. I think, yeah, I mean, they'd liked another goal or two because it's very easy to imagine Spain scoring 4 against Ukraine later and then suddenly they'll top the group. But there's a long way to go in this qualifiers. Another set of internationals in April as England face Spain at home and then Iceland away. And then there's more internationals in June at the end of the season with Spain away and Ukraine on home soil. And this again, that opening goal. Lauren James lifting it to Lucy Bronze, and the second, a Bronze delivery and a Stanway finish. Tidy stuff from the Lionesses. Walsh. Now Morgan. Williamson to Morgan. Hines. Here's Russo. And Kelly not able to hold that in. Is out now for a throw. Or giving us a free kick for a push. No, now giving the other way. Iceland throw. Very confusing again. First says can't worry about what Spain do. We pushed it versus Belgium last time and got stung. True. I mean, I believe I read the other day that it's only the top teams in each group that go through though, and everyone else has to go to qualifiers. Obviously, with Spain, it was in the Spain group that was just the Nations League, so I wasn't that worried. But with this, we do want to get through this early stage, so we don't still have qualifiers to play in the back half of the year. If it was the top two teams that go through, yeah, absolutely, I wouldn't be concerned. And I think this way of doing qualifying, yes, it's much shorter, and I think that is a positive, but it's a little bit clunky. Ball headed away well. Now Blinker to Brown. Williamson. Stanway. Hemp plays it wide to Bronze. Trying to create space for the cross again. Ball in. Not quite dealt with. Touched on by Russo. Kelly will try and get there. Hines. Stanway. Walsh. Kelly. Hines. Now Stanway. Walsh. Switching towards the right-hand side. Here is Bronze. Creates space for the cross, and that's blocked away. Back to Lucy Bronze. Walsh. Through the lines to Hemp. Ball into the box. Great claim there again from Lionesses. And they'll play out again from the back, Iceland. With Runarsdottir. Johansdottir. Sigurdardottir into Heidardottir. Carrying it inside now. Picked off high by Kelly. A touch though is heavy. And Iceland win it back. Headed down to Sigurdardottir. Johansdottir. And now, Iceland moving to the left-hand side. Heidardottir. 3 minutes of extra time. Added additional time, I should say. I would have been on that a lot quicker. But there we go. Already had almost a minute of it. As England now just seeing out what is a useful or well important 3 points. There's not really any space to make mistakes. In this kind of qualification process. And this has been a professional job really from England. Nothing flashy. We haven't gone and scored 5 goals or something, but England have done well just to see this out without too much bother. Williamson. Morgan. Iceland win it back, trying to bring it forwards. One high here by Kelly. Can she find another? Well, the shot from range was always going to be difficult, and it hits an Iceland defender. Better choices there could have been made by Chloe Kelly. Launched forwards now. Nason heads on, offside flag up against one of those attackers, and a change here for the last minute of the game. What a pointless substitution, but Lucia Kendall will go on for 30 seconds. I don't really get this. Like, it's not like you gain any rest here from Stanway. Kendall's only going to get... By the time she's on the pitch, the game's going to be over. I think they could have brought her on a lot earlier and given minutes to a few different players, but 3 changes and one of them comes in the last 30 seconds of the game. I don't even know if she's going to get a touch on the ball. Hemp. Morgan. Lifting it over the top, looking for Bronze, who will get there. Trying to find the delivery. Williamson, Bronze. Ball in, looking for Blinkhilda Brown. Now Hines lets it go to Morgan. Kendall will get a touch on the ball in this match. Goes back into Hines. Kendall again. Getting a few touches now, which is something at least. And that is the full-time whistle here at the City Ground. 93 minutes of action and a comfortable professional job from England. Iceland gave them a good game for portions of it, but ultimately it was the quality of England that prevailed. Limited Iceland to only 1 shot, albeit a great opportunity it was. Outside of that, it was dominant really from the Lionesses. A first half goal from Lucy Bronze after a lovely dink over from Lauren James. And the second, a great delivery from Lucy Bronze to pick out Georgia Stanway. I think the player of the match has to go to only one person. That's Lucy Bronze. Phenomenal work rate. To be fair, it could go. Lauren James is probably the best player on the pitch, to be fair. So I'd probably give it to Lauren James. But Lucy Bronze with the goal and the assist does have a strong argument. I give it to Lauren James. Lauren James is phenomenal. Because she came off on the 75th minute, completely forgot how incredible she was there for 75 minutes. So yeah, super impressive stuff from James. They're starting to really build the team now around Lauren James. And absolutely thrive today in this setup. But Bronze, brilliant also. Goal and assist for her. And yeah, both players involved in pretty much everything positive for England. That does round up today's stream. Very enjoyable match, England. A strong showing from the Lionesses as they kick on their qualification campaign. They'll be sitting there watching Spain-Ukraine later today with vested interest. If Ukraine could pull off the upset, that would bode incredibly well for England's chances of progressing. Ultimately, though, they're just hoping that Ukraine can keep it to less than 4 goals, really. But yeah, other than that, we are back tomorrow. Tomorrow we have, what do we have tomorrow? We have Australia taking on Iran. No, that was last week. We've got Australia taking on South Korea. It is the last game of their group stages. The winner of that game will top the group. Hugely important fixture in the context of the Women's Asian Cup. We're then back on Tuesday with more Women's Asian Cup action as we see out Group C as well. Japan in that game taking on Vietnam. Outside of that, we're back with more content throughout this week. We'll be previewing the League Cup final on Wednesday, and we'll be talking about the Asian Cup on Friday as we move towards the quarter-final stage. And then next weekend, so many games to cover. We will be live across the Women's League Cup. We'll be live across the Asian Cup quarterfinals as well. And we'll be live on Monday as we break down all of the action from the weekend, including the WSL fixtures next weekend. And then, of course, midweek action in the week after that in the WSL. So loads to look out for on the channel over the next 2 weeks. If you are new and haven't yet hit subscribe, as I say, we are going towards that goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Great gain as well today. 10 new subscribers. Welcome all to the channel, and thanks for everyone that's tuned in to today's stream. As I say, lots to look out for over the next week, so lots of reason to subscribe. And if you don't already follow us across other social platforms, we do have a Twitter, we do have an Instagram, and we do have a TikTok, which we post to usually about twice a week if we remember. That is everything though. Thank you guys very much for watching today, and we will see you next time. you.